Have you ever wondered what are the benefits of a secure environment for remote workers? For the next keynote, we have Eric Anthony, the MSP Enablement Director at Egnyte, joining us to share his thoughts on how IT service providers can replace the legacy file servers with a cloud-based solution that provides even better access and collaboration. Welcome, Eric. So glad to have you on the board. Over to you.
Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. This is actually my first presentation at a virtual conference for Egnyte. If some of you know me, you've seen me at other conferences when we used to do them in person, and maybe the odd virtual one last year as well. Today, I want to talk about accessing, sharing, protecting all of your files. So Egnyte has a unique solution that kind of puts an umbrella around all of that to give you a solution that works for a lot of different customers. So just for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Anthony, and I am the Director of Channel Community and Enablement here at Egnyte. I owned my own break fix and my own managed services companies for about 16 years, so I've kind of been on your guys' side of the fence in terms of managed services. I've also spent a couple of years as the CIO and COO of a couple of small manufacturing companies. And I've spent the last 7 years now on the vendor side, or sometimes we like to call it the dark side of the channel. So for those of you who also participate in things like CompTIA, I also serve on the executive council for managed services at CompTIA, doing a lot of great stuff there. Just did a couple of videos. So those are out there. So please check those out. If you also might know me from my All Things MSP Facebook group and the corresponding YouTube channel there as well. Now, when it comes to my role at Egnyte, it's really a two-edged sword kind of to really do two things. Number one is to enable our partners to make sure that they understand the Egnyte solutions and what they can do in terms of solving problems for their clients. You know, making sure that you guys have the training, making sure that you have the marketing materials, that you have the deal registration to work with some of our internal experts on maybe more complex deals involving verticals like governance and, you know, GXP, life sciences, things like that. So that's my job, is to get you plugged into all of that. And then, of course, the fun part of my job is doing this. So being out there in the community, helping people understand what Egnyte can do for them, and then just helping this community in general. It's one of the things I like to do. I like giving back to the community that has given me a lot over the years. So what is Egnyte? Well, I got a couple of slides here to kind of set things up in terms of what Egnyte believes, because in terms of Egnyte, we've really only been in the channel for the past 2 years and really started ramping up over the last 6 months. So a lot of you out there in the channel don't really know of Egnyte, even though we've been around for a number of years. Well, as this slide says, Egnyte believes that putting the right content in the right hands, only the right hands, can fuel business growth and make the world a better place. We're so worried about security and the value of data these days. We wanted to create a solution. The founders of the company wanted to create a solution around, you know, how to easily access and use that data, because the value of the data is in using it, but also protect it from those people who shouldn't have access to it. Now, in terms of Egnyte, like I said, been around for quite a while. Actually founded in 2007. So 2021 will be 14 years. We have quite, you know, some good investment money behind us. So we're well backed. We have over 750 employees now, which makes us a pretty large company, spanning pretty much the globe. We have offices throughout North America as well as in Europe. So we really, you know, can handle customers pretty much around the world, and with our tech support being 24/7 and things like that. We did hit over $100 million in revenue last year. So the reason I kind of say these things is really just to put out there that Egnyte has been around for a while. They're a pretty large company in terms of the number of employees, the number of people who are here to help you, to partner with you, and that we're a stable company and we're doing well, because if you're going to put your data in the hands of a company, you need to know that they're stable and that they're going to be around for a while. Now, we touch a lot of verticals, and it's really important these days because so many MSPs are coming up against clients or sales opportunities where it's a very specific vertical and very strict compliance requirements. So things like financial services, where you need a lot of governance around that data. Architecture, engineering, and construction. This is an important one to me because when I was an MSP, I had several construction clients, and they offer a very unique problem set because quite frequently their files are large. So they have large files like engineering drawings, CAD files, things like that need to be shared across the organization. But also in a lot of circumstances, especially in the construction side of that, they are dealing with job sites that have poor to almost non-existent internet. So you need a solution that will allow you to use cloud file sharing in those circumstances, and Egnyte has a special solution just for that. In fact, if you've seen any of the press releases recently, construction, engineering, and architecture is really something that we're starting to specialize in because we know that we've got a solution that really works for that industry. Media and advertising is very similar, although they have a couple of differences. Number one, they also deal with very large files. But the other thing that you see a lot in the media and advertising industry is that they need to collaborate with outside contractors a lot. So what happens here is you're sharing large files with people who don't necessarily work within the media or the advertising organization. So Egnyte has some great features and functionality that allow you to share and collaborate on those large files very easily with outside vendors. So making it a very good solution for that vertical as well. Retail and manufacturing, obviously with the distributed nature of retail and having stores in different locations, a remote file sharing solution works well for there. But also, since you're dealing with credit card information, customer information, PII, that's another place where having a secure sharing environment matters as well. Another place where we really have invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of resources is in the life sciences arena. We have dedicated people who work on tailoring our solutions for the life sciences environment. Now, this can be something as simple as HIPAA compliance and the governance that needs to be around that to, fill the compliance needs. But also when you get into the more complicated situations where you have, say, drug trials and things like GXP, where you have very, very sophisticated data governance requirements. So we have internal experts where as an MSP, you can actually, if you have a customer who has these requirements, you can actually engage our team and work with them to work with your client to develop a solution and sell a solution to them that's going to work for that environment. All right, so where are we in terms of, working with MSPs? Well, we've worked for years with a lot of MSPs, not just in the past 2 years. We've had some MSPs for quite a bit longer than that. But this just gives you an example of some of the MSPs that we work with. Names like Cortelligent, IT Labs, franchises like CMIT Solutions or TeamLogic IT. Those are great partners for us. And of course, DataPrize is also an excellent partner for us. So in terms of scale and how big we are in terms of the data that we govern, we govern over 28 petabytes of data. That's a lot of data. So you can be assured that your data as part of that is in good hands. And the other one that I want to point out is that we have 8 billion plus files under management or under governance. And so that's an important number there as well. We have global reach. We have global data centers so that if you need data residency in a particular place, we can handle most of those requirements. Just reach out and ask. I'm sure that we can figure out a solution if you have very specific data residency requirements for your client's data. Now, the traditional way that users access their files have some problems, especially in the things that are going on today. So let's talk about a couple of those. Number one, the hardware-bound file infrastructure. There's a lot of legacy file servers sitting out there that especially over the past 14, 15 months has become a problem with all these users being, pushed out to working from home or working from anywhere, whatever you want to call it. There's become a need that doesn't necessarily get filled by the on-premise file server and a VPN. That's a great solution if you have just a percentage of your workforce, or if you can scale up that internet connection, have redundant internet connections if something goes wrong. It can work, but with almost everybody still working from home or working from anywhere, different solutions might be required. Now, when it comes to an MSP, I also see an opportunity here because the traditional file sharing, the traditional file server has hardware components. They're prone to fail. If you only have one internet connection coming into the business, you only have one pipeline through which that data can travel. So it becomes more and more important to get off of that legacy file server so you don't have hardware failures. You don't have an ISP problem that limits your users or your clients' users access to their data. So that's one problem that we see. The other one is that in your traditional cloud file sharing solutions like Dropbox or OneDrive, it's very user-centric. So your user has their OneDrive, their Dropbox, and yes, you can share those files across to different people in different organizations even, but it doesn't mimic the workflow and the processes that you typically have within a business environment. So the Egnyte file sharing solution is built around the typical way that you would access files in a business environment. It has a shared file structure. In fact, you can even load the desktop app onto your Mac, onto your PC, and be able to access those files through either a volume on the Mac or a mapped drive letter on the PC. It makes it very convenient, makes it very easy for them to access it just like as if they were in the office, but they're accessing the files in the cloud instead. Now, the other piece that is becoming very important and is only going to become more important as we drive down the road and get towards more and more strict compliance requirements, and that is being able to analyze your files, know which files are where, secure those files, and make sure that you are compliant with whatever regulations, whether it be GDPR or CCPA or HIPAA, whatever it is, you have the tools to monitor those files and fix those compliance things automatically while you're monitoring them. So I want to talk a minute about why channel partners matter to the ecosystem in general, but specifically why Egnyte is choosing to start focusing on partners. And it's pretty much an easy formula. If you're going after the entire IT market, only half of the market, that's not a strict percentage, but there's a large percentage of the market that sits in internal IT departments. But there's also an extremely large, and I believe growing, need in the small and medium-sized business market, which is served by managed service providers. And if you want to cover the entire IT market, you need to join with your partners and make sure that they're able to sell your solutions. They're able to solve their clients' problems with your solutions. So I kind of came up with this little tagline where we need to sell to internal IT, which Egnyte does very well already, but we also need to sell with partners. It's a very different motion. It requires a different thought process. It requires different workflow and processes internally for Egnyte. And we're building out those processes specifically to meet the needs of our partners. Now, I think everybody knows what changed in 2020, but just to kind of recap, work from anywhere became the norm. Like I was talking about before, where traditionally a VPN and a file server worked for that handful of employees, that small percentage that worked offsite. It doesn't work so well in the new work from anywhere type of generation that we're moving into or have moved into very rapidly, actually. And then the other thing is the security breaches. As an industry, we knew they were happening. We saw them every day, right? But they've been elevated recently with, all of the headlines seen by the general public. It's become much more available news or top of mind to your customers. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're starting to ask more and more about what you can do to secure their data. So that's one of the places where Egnyte comes in and allows you from a large enterprise organization down to a single person organization the Egnyte solution scales up and down equally well to provide a solution for that customer that is pretty much tailor-made for their needs and their compliances. So we talked about the disjointed, the traditional way of doing things. I won't cover this slide again. I just want to bring it up as a reminder, but there's the hardware bound, the legacy file server, the individual first cloud, and then the security stuff that we need to worry about as well. Now, businesses large and small, like I was talking about, require a new model. And they need to be able to secure their data first and foremost. We need to make sure that the data is secure so that people can't access it, can't disturb it, can't use that data against you or your clients. The next thing is, in order for people to use it, it actually has to be simple. One of the ingenious things that I saw about Egnyte before I actually came to work here was the ability to map a drive letter. To me, being able to mimic or mirror that process, that workflow that people are used to in your small to medium-sized business is essential, because it makes it so much easier for them to think about how they're getting their work done and easier to access those files. If somebody's working on a file, they just go to the same map drive letter, the same file structure, folder structure that they're used to, and they grab those files. And then strategic. This is another piece of Egnyte that I think is really critical, that is important to the business environment. It's not so important to individual users who may just need to share files, but with Egnyte, we have a lot of integrations with applications like Salesforce that allow you to do different things and integrate your Egnyte data with Salesforce and use it back and forth. It literally makes it easier for the end user to use the data while maintaining that protection on that data, because it's not existing in so many different places. Now, there's a lot of things here that kind of are different between the disjointed, do-it-yourself file sharing and then a unified turnkey solution. I'm trying to find a better way to do this slide. So if you guys have any ideas, come hit me up at the booth. I'd like to listen to that. But first of all, a lot of times it requires, especially like a server and a VPN, requires extra management. You have to have somebody who, and typically that's you guys, but if you're running a true managed services model where, it's an all-you-can-eat pricing or a fixed fee pricing, you know that by reducing your labor, reducing your expenses and increasing your efficiency, you can reduce your costs and make more money. So if you can actually get rid of all of the expenses and all the labor in managing that file server, you can actually make more profit by getting rid of that legacy file server and putting in a solution that is much easier to administer. And the Egnyte interface and everything is so easy to use, and it's so easy for your clients to use. It kind of takes a lot of those headaches and tickets out of your system. With traditional systems, there's also a lot of disjointed data. You could have things in SharePoint. You could have things in Azure or AWS or, on the local file shares. You want to be able to govern all of that data. Now, you may need some of those different repositories. Well, one of the things that Egnyte can do is their governance can actually look into not just the Egnyte repository, but physical repositories, cloud repositories, and actually govern that data for you as well and protect it, even though it's in a different place. Bolted on risk management. So because the risk management, the governance piece of Egnyte is built into the solution, it's not an add-in, it's not a bolt-on. It doesn't require that extra work to get it engaged. Vendor-bound apps and infrastructure. We try and be as vendor agnostic as possible. That's why we have a lot of integrations, a lot of different hooks into different data repositories so that you can govern that data in different places. You don't have to choose between just the cloud or just on-prem. You can have the benefits of both. And you don't need to maintain a legacy file server. You can use what we call storage sync to actually create a local copy of data, so that if, like in the terms of construction, you have those bad internet connections, they can actually have a storage sync node on location that, maintains that synchronization to the cloud data, but gives them the faster speed of being able to access that data locally. So it solves, that specific problem. And then collaboration complexity, especially trying to share files that maybe you're on a legacy file server, or even with sharing files that are on other traditional file sharing services. Egnyte gives you a lot of very intuitive, workflow-driven ways to collaborate and share files. So you can collaborate on files, you can actually add notes and things and notify people of, asking questions about files, and they can add notes in their responses, but also makes it very easy and very secure to share files outside of your organization, either by time limits or making sure that they have to have a password to access that file. There's a lot of different options there for them to be able to use those solutions. All right, so how do we achieve this? So this is kind of what secure collaboration looks like with Egnyte. It allows you to, use the Egnyte cloud to access it with not only your Macs and your PCs, but also your mobile devices as well. So Android, iOS, makes it very easy to access your Egnyte files while you're on the go. And you can edit them as well. So this is kind of the structure that it looks like, and you can see that there's a lot of different pieces here, and it plugs into a lot of different systems. If you want more detail about this, please come by the booth. We're glad and happy to set up a meeting for you. Now, also governing all of this content. Identifying the sensitive data is the first part, making sure you know where all the sensitive data is. Enforcing compliance, having rules that not only notify you, but can also make changes and move files to the right places when it finds those files in the wrong place. And then the other thing that Egnyte does that I haven't brought up yet is it does detect suspicious behavior. So if a lot of files start getting encrypted, it's going to detect that. It's going to shut down that user. If a lot of files start getting downloaded from somebody, like maybe somebody's getting ready to leave one of your clients' organizations and they start downloading a bunch of files, you're going to be notified of that. And you can set up all kinds of rules and all kinds of different things around this. And the interface really makes it simple for somebody who doesn't have that deep background in security or compliance to be able to follow simple instructions to make sure that the different requirements are being met. Again, if you want more information on this, please come to the booth, set up a meeting. We'd love to talk to you in more detail about how this actually works. Now, achieving more together. These are the themes that, as the Director of Channel Community here at Egnyte, these are the themes that I'm talking about to our MSPs this year. Number one, replacing legacy file servers. I think there is so much efficiency and so much security to be gained by moving your files into a secure cloud location that offers you different options based on what your clients need to fulfill things like the low bandwidth issues that you might have with construction, with the very specific sharing needs of a media or advertising company, content creation, that type of thing. I think there's a lot of things that you can do for your clients with the solution that will actually save you time and money. In addition to that, compliance. Compliance, in my opinion, is kind of where backup was maybe 5-10 years ago. I'm trying to actually nail down where exactly I think that is sitting today. But I think we're at a place similar to backup 5 or 10 years ago, where not everybody had it. Now everybody has it because they have to have it. They understand the importance of it. I think we're sitting right there with compliance now, where in another 5 years, because I think this is going to be accelerated versus backup, where with all of the compliance things coming into play, you're going to start seeing this needed more and more by your client base. And if you have a solution already there, it's going to be very important for you to be able to do that. And then last, but certainly not least, is because of those compliances, there are some verticals that are very, very already strict in terms of what they need to do and how they need to govern their data. Life science is a perfect example of this. And what we really want to do is we want to help you as partners break into those markets, those verticals. And that's why we have the internal people and the systems. We're putting the systems in place right now where you can register deals with us so that you can make sure that you get the right people involved to help you get through those more complex sales processes. So what does partnership mean to us? Well, it means primarily communication and training, making sure that we've communicated what the Egnyte solution can do for you and for your clients, but also making sure that you are trained to facilitate selling the product. You need to be able to put this in front of people, and sometimes with our help, we'll co-sell with you, getting through these deals. Some of them are complex and you'll need our help, but a lot of them, especially for replacing legacy file servers, those are things that you guys can handle on your own. But we need to train you on, some of the things that are around that and how to tweak that solution to a particular client. So we're doing webinars, we're doing training, we're building a whole bunch of new training right now. We're going to be doing boot camps on specific things like life sciences, like construction, like governance, and replacing legacy file servers, so that specifically you have in-depth training, you have access to people who can give you more information about those topics. And then I'm trying to do all kinds of other things as well. We're going to have a partner summit this year in May. We're looking at doing podcasts. We do a quarterly newsletter. We've got blog articles out there. So a lot of things to help our partners drive business and drive efficiencies in their business, so that at the end of the day, they're making more money and driving better customer satisfaction. So it's real easy to move forward. You just need to sign up. We have an onboarding process where we'll teach you about the product. There are free trials available, so that's not a problem. And then all we need to do is scale it up, get it into more and more of your customers, so that you can grow and take advantage of those efficiencies and those profits. Now, in order to do that, just go over to egnyte.com/MSP and you can sign up. There's no cost to sign up, no obligation whatsoever. So just go ahead and sign up, and then we'll start working with you and show you how to work with the product and how to get the product rolling in your client base. Come by our booth. We've got a couple of people there, a lot of people there, depending on the time of day. But I bring up this slide because I wanted to show you some of the faces that you may have seen around the industry before. Christina Carretero is our dedicated MSP marketing person. She's building a team specifically to help not only us market to you guys. That's only half the story. The other half of the story is helping you guys market to your customers, building a lot of co-branded marketing and things like that for you guys to use. Chuck Zimzak. A lot of you guys know Chuck from in the industry. He's been in the industry for over 15 years. So I know he's been to a lot of, when these weren't virtual, even when they are virtual, I know Chuck's been around, but before they were virtual, Chuck and I spent a lot of time on the road together. And then of course, Chip Beeler, a lot of you guys know him as well, from his former, channel, programs in different places. And so really, we've put together this team to help you guys and really drive Egnyte into the channel and make sure that we have the systems and the people to make you guys successful. So again, thank you very much. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty close on time. So wanted to make sure that, you guys have all the information you need. So please reach out to us at the booth, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much, Eric, for the insightful keynote session. I'm sure now it will be easier for everyone to access, protect, share with the help of Egnyte. So with that being said, I would love to invite everyone to visit their booth. They are available in the vendor pavilion. Go there, visit their booth to know more and to secure collaboration.